It's lawn renovation season and this bad boy is getting a touch up. Yes, g'day and welcome to a new video, lawn renovation out here on this back lawn. It is a massive job and it rolls on in this video. My previous video was all about scalping. So you can see I've given this lawn a bit of a scalp. So without recapping that entire video, I've used my utility mower. I've been out here for a little over 3 hours already, getting it to this point. If I went one notch lower on the utility mower, it was just cutting out and it was just not gonna work for me. So what I'm gonna do, and from the 2 times that I've used that utility mower, I feel like my best use of my time, and I have to be so careful in a way with the use of my time. Now I've added new machinery. I'm continually refining my process because if I can make the most of 10% of time on my front lawn, yeah, it might make 20 minutes, 30 minutes difference. But out here, it just feels like it's hours, just with the pure size of it. So what I'm gonna do is get the scarified. I'm gonna be digging up some thatch, but also this lawn is so low now. I cut it at 14 millimeters with my cylinder mower 2 days ago, and now going across it with the utility mower just now. There's parts of it where it's still nice and crisp, like it's still fairly green. And I think that just shows you that in those areas, because I've top dressed this lawn since we moved in. A couple of days after this video goes live, we've lived here for 2 years, exactly. But in that time, I've done 3 solid top dresses on here. So some parts I've got really, really nice and even. Behind me here in the center, the areas where, well, even where I'm standing, these kind of areas, there's obviously still a little bit more bumps. There's been naturally just a bit of extra build up of thickness in those areas, which is why it has scalped harder than other places. But yeah, coming across with the Scarify now, going across it twice. I talked about in the last video, I'm a little bit short on time. I had to unexpectedly take my son to a doctor's appointment earlier, so he's okay and he's at kinder now, but that took some time out of my day. And yeah, just a couple of other bits and pieces going on, but anyway. So I've just swapped, I was scarifying, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a sec, but I've swapped over to this, back to this utility mower, just trying to, on these flatter, greener spots, just trying to get down a little bit lower. And I'll show you here, when I go from number 4 that I'm at, it's like, it's just not scalping enough. I drop to what I want it to be, and I can't quite thin it out enough with the Scarify, but just, I'll show you. And then we'll have a bit more of a chat. That's just a nicely mown lawn at the moment. All right, so from that, you can see that if it took me a bit over 3 hours to do the method on the number 4, that is gonna take me 4 or 5. And that's something that I'm short on. This reno is a bit of time. I probably had far too much faith in the ability and the power of this machine to speed up my process. And I also just then, when I was scarifying, and this is the reason I swapped over, I had far more faith in the scarifier to disrupt the canopy of sections like this, where there's not as much exposed soil. See over here where I was able to scalp lower, ripping up some really good material, pulling up a heap of excess runners like this. You know, look at that. That is what I want. I want to be pulling out these excess material. Over there it was all quite level. Over here, the utility just did not get into it. And so I've gone over this with the Scarify, and that's like a very light groom. And what I can sort of feel happening here with this renovation is the game sort of changing a little bit, in the sense that I've got this lawn really, really level. And so some of the tools, you know, probably needing to upgrade that utility mower for it to not take me hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of using that machine. So getting a better machine with a lot more power. The Ryobi, you know, I need it to be a lot lower than this for that machine. You know, that little Ryobi battery scarifier, recommend them, made content about them, will continue to. They work well, they do a good job in the right application. And this, my lawn here, just feels like, without being able to scalp it low enough today, these conditions for it today are not the right conditions. And so right now, the verticutter that I used of Tim's on the Tiff Tuff Reno last week, you know, this would be no problem. And to be honest, if I had a verticutter like that, or you know, one of those heavier, more commercial style scarifiers, wouldn't have even used the utility first today. I would have gone straight to that sort of scarifier verticutter machine, and that would have been perfect for really digging down with that type of heavier machinery to get down into there and rip up a whole heap of stuff. And something I'm conscious of as I'm making this video is about not trying to make the whole renovation process seem too difficult or anything like that. Just think I am a little bit more time poor today. I probably skipped to scarifying when I should have at least gone over it one more time and tried to get a little bit more going in a different direction with the utility mower. That would have helped me out a bit, I think. I think these areas where I have scarified now, I'll be able to drop to that number 3 on the utility a lot better and get better results. So I probably just mixed up my strategy. Yeah, for this particular day, for the machinery or the equipment that I have available on this particular day. So yeah, it just is what it is. And like I've said many times before, and any time I renovate this lawn, it's just a different beast being this size. It's just different. So anyway, I think I'm gonna keep going over there with that utility mower, and I'm gonna scarify again and see what day is left. Tomorrow I need to aerate when I've got that machine here. Hopefully can just keep getting this quite low. In the end, maybe this will just be more of a mini reno instead of a full reno with the time I have available. Right, well in the end, the MowMaster has been my saviour in all of this renovation, I think. Well, I tried to use that and cut down to 12mm as part of a renovation maybe a year ago, maybe it was spring last year, and I found it was really struggling and cutting out, and I'm pretty sure the advertised height on the high cut model is like 10mm or something anyway, but I was able to wind it right down to 5. It did an absolutely amazing job of picking up clippings and things like that, better than any rotary mower, battery or petrol. Real workhorse. I'm gonna need a back lap of this before I go and I'm trying to lay some stripes once this lawn has recovered. But yeah, did an amazing job of that, and also just being able to scalp a little bit at 5mm. The fact that some of these areas are still pretty level and green after they've been cut at 5mm, by the time I've gone over it that many times, you know, 5-6 times at 5mm and still green. You know, use the utility mower. In the end, I got to that lowest setting for the utility, and I was just using this sort of technique that I'll probably have on the screen, which, yeah, I'd probably wish I had the time to do that again and go over a different direction and scalp again lower. I've done 2 Scarifyers. One of them was a really good Scarify where I was pulling up more material, but on those areas that are still a bit green, it's just not pulling up the material. On the more bare spots, it's getting stuff out of there really nicely. But yeah, I think definitely a more professional model Scarify verticutter would have been the difference. I think I'd be done by now. I'd be at this point here. No, you can't even see that on the camera. I had a crap camera angle in the last video too. But that kind of dirt that I'm more than happy with, that's where I'd be at if I had that verticutter, say from the Tiff Tough renovation of Tim's. So yeah, utility mower hasn't done the job that I necessarily would have loved it to. The battery Scarifyer has its time and place, and on the point this lawn's at, just needs something with a bit more about it, ongoing probably. And I wish I had a bit more time up my sleeve. But I'm gonna dump these up into the trailer. I'm gonna get the aerator out here, punch a heap of holes in it, talk about the benefits of aeration and that sort of thing, because yeah, for me on this lawn that does get a bit soggy, a bit of a clay base down under there, really important part of the process. So let's roll on. There you go, aerated once, picked it all up with the rotary mower, set that rotary mower nice and low. Sometimes you might find your mower's too high, it's not sucking them up properly. Get it nice and low and you'll pick them up really, really well. Something I like to do with these Bluebird aerators is go over the lawn twice, which I'll talk about a bit more in a second. Aeration in general, it is one of the most beneficial steps of a lawn renovation in most cases. If you're just getting into lawn care, there's a very, very, very good chance that your yard will be compacted or there'll be issues with the health of your soil and all that kind of thing. So getting in and aerating, whether you do it with a machine like this, you get a manual core aeration tool, even at a minimum, if you just get your normal pitchfork and you stab a heap of holes just to open up the soil, open up some space for the roots. It allows you to top dress into, so if you did have a case where you've got really poor soil, where you're struggling to grow anything, you might top dress with a compost, a really nice, rich, healthy soil that's going to be better for you to grow grass in. Or for me here, where drainage is an issue, aeration, it really helps. And then top dressing with whitewashed sand is great to get into those aeration holes, to be able to make a sandier profile, because water drains through sand. Far out, I'm tired. Drains through sand a lot better than it does through a heavy soil or clay. Now, unless it's the first time you've watched one of my videos, you know I'm affiliated with Kennards and I work with them and they're fantastic. These aerators, a lot of people will have a big sook about them. And this drum rotation style of aeration, rather than other aeration systems where the tines go straight down into the ground. Wish I could remember the correct term at the moment. But yeah, they do kind of roll over the ground a lot more and kind of can make a little bit more of a mess, I guess is just the easiest way to say. But there's a couple of things about how to use them. So something you need to do is set your depth. So make sure you do adjust with a knob or something in this area the depth of aerating, because you might get it out and go, this is doing nothing, but you haven't actually set the depth properly. The other thing you see people say in Lawn Fanatics and stuff like that is, oh, they fly around all over the place, those things. So you need to set your speed really, really low, okay? If this thing just takes off, it's going way too quick. You want to have it so the engine is barely running. It's just running and it's just ticking over nicely. You can get nice straight lines. The machine has got time to pull out nice cores, and you get a lot more out of the machine. So if you're going to hire one of these, do that. And so that's just maximizing the equipment. And I think the thing is with those aerators, and a lot of people, they, like I said, they do complain about them and say how terrible they are. I think they do still a great job. I'm getting some really good cores out of here today. There's a good example of what was next to me just there. So yeah, I'm not saying, I've never said these aerators are the best in the world, but they do a really good job and they're so readily available to be able to hire. So in terms of, yeah, availability and access for so many people out there that are watching this or on Instagram, whatever, that's why, you know, they still do a good job. They're not the best in the universe, but they do a good job and they're readily available. So yeah, follow some of those things I just talked about and you'll get really good results with them still. There's another ripper of a core and you can see it's very dense, some good roots in there and very dense, nutrient rich soil, but yeah, it just holds moisture a bit. So seeing there's some sand from previous top dressing. So hoping to continue to make that a nice sandy profile. In the next video, which will be top dressing, I'll also be applying some products hopefully tomorrow morning. So I'll quickly get that done Friday. Yeah, in a couple of days is when I've got the machinery booked to top dress. So yeah, really looking forward to that. It's been a real mission, this renovation to this point. So hopefully the videos come together all right. It's always hard when it's across many, many hours of recording a video, but yeah, thank you for watching. Make sure you look out for the next one. Enjoy reno season. I'll see you in the next one.